like I really don't belong. I can't explain it. When I close my eyes, I see a strange reality. Am I dreaming, or on the edge of remembering? You wake up feeling like you really don't belong. You can't explain it, that when you close your eyes you see familiarity. Are you dreaming, or on the edge of remembering? Who will you be tomorrow? And what are you today?
Okay, welcome to air conditioning and fans and headless artist here. I'll be sitting down in just a minute. I'm gathering a little variety of colors here because I want to make some pre-felts for future small flowers. And when I say future small flowers, I'm referring to something small enough to wear like a boutonniere. And I want a bunch of colors, but they're going to end up being small, so I don't need large amounts of these. I just want to make sure I've got a nice variety going. And then I'm just going to felt all one piece, and then cut them out. Now, in the case of a, oh, I love these colors. So pretty. Oh, there's really nice there, but that doesn't it? Oh, perfect match. This is more of a match with that. Let's take a little bit. Yep. Pink's almost white. Slightly yellow there. Okay, I think we're up to a good start here. Oh, I don't have any purple represented, do I? Oh, I've got some deep purple. Nope. Not by itself. I need deep purple. Now, I finally tracked down the right farm to go to for wool because they carry fiber from other farms. So instead of fussing and trying to figure out how I'm going to get to a farm, we get just one place. Apparently, they cater to people who are the same as I am when it comes to fiber. So it could be a match made in heaven. Now this is so well externally felted. I'm going to guess this came in a little ball from China. Densified. Yeah, these are, I'm still using some of the scraps that came from needle felting kits. And it's kind of cool to use them up. What I have to be looking at now is larger quantities of a single color. That way you know you don't run out of a larger project if you get inspired to do like a pocketbook or something. You want to make sure all the fiber's there. Okay. I don't know what it is for this. I think they're starting to make me dizzy. Okay. So, my friend and I were planning on visiting this one farm that's not far away, maybe 15 minutes away. But then when I went to look at the details, the bummer part came up. They really are just doing business online. Unless you already know what you want and you kind of pre-order it, you could go there to pick it up, but there's no store to look at what they have to offer. It's like, no, I need to go and squish this myself. I need to see the colors with my own eyes, old as they are. And the quality and the texture, because these are all different kinds of wool. They're all sheep, just different kinds of sheep, and the wool's been handled a little differently. Oh, you should have brought the little lid out. The air conditioning reduces the temperature rather quickly. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to put all these, let's move these aside for a minute. Keep them dry. Yeah, I'm going to need some here. So what I'm trying to achieve is what we call pre-felt. That is, I'm going to felt it gently. I'm going to try and get it to the point where it's all texturized and At least I'm not planning on that right away. I just want it to be held together so that I can cut it up and then work to continue felting it once I have my shape and I know how I want to felt it. Yeah, now this is a beautiful, beautiful merino in a light salmon pink. And we have to have enough where it meshes properly, but not so much that it gets really dense. I'm trying to really go for a delicate here. And it's important that I practice this for the 100-year-old scarf. And that's going to require super delicate layering. More like that, I think. Then you've got, if it's too fine, it kind of falls apart. It needs to be strong enough to be turned into a flower, which will get attached. Not really sure how yet. Attached to a stick pin. Now, I have to say, I have been finding more uses for stick pins. It used to be something you just stuck in your hat. And me always being a hat wearer, I actually did collect some nice hat pins. But now I don't really, I do wear hats, but they don't need pins the way they used to. Now we just use a chin strap to keep it underneath the, I'll keep it on your head. Came in handy today out there in gale wind in the garden. Awesome. Gossamer-like. What is the word that comes to mind when I'm playing with fiber? So the place that we're going to go to look at fiber has a place where you can go and look at the fiber. And since they are getting wool products from farms all around here that I can't get to, I'm very excited about going. I could go as early as this coming Tuesday. Which would make me very happy. Okay, so now I have to have a cross color here, and we're going to go with, where is that one? This. Oh, there is a bit of mylar, I guess. Some of the fibers that are offered are being used are synthetic, and I'm trying to avoid synthetics as much as possible. There are things like there are some decorations, like my first two purses are decorated with synthetic yarns. That was because of their strength I wanted to add to my purse as well as looks. Okay, it's definitely very delicate right there. So I have this spider that makes the bathroom kind of a hangout. And I don't mind because she gets the occasional random fly. So I accidentally knocked her into the sink. And I got so freaked out that I might have killed her. I just like did not want to touch anything. Like, okay, you gotta please be alive, and she was. And today she was in the sink again. So I did what I always do. I talked to her. And she hasn't been eating anything that I could see. And then she started climbing in front of me. And she stopped like at about eye level. And she's just like hanging there. Now they have to eat their little guideline. But she was suspended from the ceiling down into the sink. And I just waited for her to, you know, land safely on the ceiling before I went and brushed my teeth. Jumping spiders are very cool. I don't make them into pets per se, but I do my best not to get in their way. And where I can, I shoo a fly in their direction. Luckily, I don't have a lot of flies in this place. I'm just gonna a little too late. Then again, after all, flowers do fade from these very light whites to pinks. How would you like that? Seems like a nice grade. This was in kit from the needle fountain. Too soft, is that? Might be too exploding. Oh, we'll go with this. Let's see. All right, let's take a look at what this looks like. Let's throw some water in. Just happen to have a fresh bowl. So at this stage, this is still really loose. So you can still manipulate the threads to a degree. I keep calling them threads, but it's hairs, the hairs. So we have our very gentle rosy colors, two more berries and pink. And let's see. I think this is literally a very gentle art or craft, both artsy craft. I like to think of it as fabric making for idiots like me. who can't sew. I've always loved fabrics, and even worked for a while, not paid work. I was practicing work, creating patterns for textiles for the industry, And I was doing that while I still had connections in the arts, not arts so much as arts, but commercial arts, like textile printing. Well, you know how life is. Start off point A and end up somewhere in the middle of the alphabet. I still did not learn how to sew. I still bought pieces of fabric as if I could, and then ended up using tape and glue to hem things. If you visited, you would know that my kitchen window on the farm had very pretty curtains, very unusual curtains, and they changed seasonally. One might be convinced that I did so, but nope. Fabric glue. Thumbtacks. So this is just a joy to be able to do stuff like this. So now I'm going to set this aside. It can go ahead and rest because I have another one. Here it is. I'm going to do another sheet with these colors, or some of these colors. We have pinks over there. I wanted to use this, but it's just too extreme. So let's go ahead and get this going. This is a long, long staple. Stick it in that. This always surprises me. Of course, I need to use more. It's Corriedale. It's got a very long staple, like merino. And it has good body to it after it's felted too. I can't wait to see what the local farms have. This here. Yep, let's go get some more. Yeah, I need a pinch each. Let's get the quarry down first. One magenta. You know, I bought this on a lark, and I thought, well, this would be really good for those lanterns when I was warm. This color looks great lit up from behind. But I didn't see myself using it much elsewise because it's so bright and unnatural. You know, you don't find this often in nature. But I'm getting quite fond of it, you know. It was kind of like when I was a little kid, I hated bright colors. I saw anything that didn't have at least 10% black mixed in it as garish and cheap looking. And nobody in the family gave me that impression. It was just something that I always felt wrong as a child. And of course, as a child, that's when they want to dress you in all of those bright colors. But I did not develop an eye for bright colors until I was much older. In fact, some stuff I just wouldn't even think of wearing until I was after 50, 60 years old. I was really wearing them. Oh, yeah, so that's like I couldn't stand pink as a little girl, I think, because society kept pushing it on me. Wear pink, wear pink, you're a little girl. I found that just so annoying as a kid. I was too serious a child for pink. But now I'm not. Now I love pink. Second childhood, perhaps. Okay. Let's do number 2 while number 1 is sitting, and number 3 is annoying. These always end up being a little bit bigger than I was planning, but they do shrink, sometimes by 40%. So it's gotta start something. This is really dictated for me by the length of the staple of the hair itself, because it's really I don't want to cut it. You want those natural ends, which helps them knit together. Now, there's no real design I'm trying to preserve or other fibers, so I'm not too worried about getting real assertive right from the start. Just want to get everything wet. Really soapy. Kind of has the fun feeling of this finger paints. Only it's all soap and water, so there's nothing to clean up. Just soap and water. What's cool is the more you do this, it's kind of like you feel the point where the fibers become a fabric. And just get a feel for it. that magenta looks pretty cool. So background, brighten things up. I don't think I have another small piece of bubble wrap. I have to just finish these two so I can free them up. Okay, let's roll this up for the moment. I'll come back to this one. Oh. My headache would not allow me to wear my hair up in a ponytail today. So I'm going to use combs because my hair is going everywhere. Feel free to ask questions. Okay. Let's pick up some of that excess water now. Aloha. Oops. I was dripping water over there. I don't need it to be everywhere. Okay, we'll stay there. See if I can get this on the same page. It's a bit bigger. Right. And we have this free. So we can do this. It's doing a good job of getting the water out. Check this out. Okay. So we do this for a few minutes. Or 40 to 100 rolls in each direction. So like after 40 to 100 rolls this way, I'll take it out and re-roll it, everything facing the direction. But first I have my tea. Wrapping a towel around your bubble wrap definitely helps it will stay in place. You just do the bubble wrap, it seems like it unravels pretty quickly. Don't want those going out of the way. Pretty close to done. This works. Okay. It's funny how sometimes, no matter how light your wool, you don't see the black hairs. Seems like sheep always have some black hair in the way. Line. What are these? By the way, if you're wearing a tracker, this adds to your steps. You won't be standing out. All right. It's my hair. No, it's one of mine. All right, we're going to move to the rough stuff. The bamboo nut torture. It starts small. Come over here for a minute. How to do that? What would you? It squeezes out most of, well, most of the water. The bamboo also is absorbing it. So it makes things drier faster and helps them pucker up. Aloha. Yeah, it is, isn't it? So I got a good group together yesterday and informed them about deceptive business practices that real estate people do and how we are going to be affected and what we need to do. So because another person spoke up, and I'm not one to try to squelch people's opinions, we decided to wait until we have another meeting with the manager on Wednesday. However, since I already know at least half of what it's going to be about, I'm making sure that it is the biggest turnout ever in this building for a meeting. So tomorrow, I'll be putting together a sheet in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole to inform the renters of their rights and who to call about them if we don't like what we hear on Wednesday. The calls begin Thursday morning. That's exactly what it is. It's just meant to, look, do you need a special day to pay homage or pay honor or send love to or communicate with your God? Isn't God around all the time, every day, everywhere? No matter what your beliefs, source is always there, right? It's not escapable. You go to a church and you're expected to support it financially. And in that, you want that church to be full of your friends. So y'all can get together with a good reason. And between practicing what Jesus preached and gossiping, it's a social event. It's supposed to help people. Well, okay, in modern terms, it's a way to keep you on track and in the church. They can't afford to lose you because they lose your tithing. It's just the business of religion. And that's basically why I don't go anymore. I was raised in the temple, and I've certainly got no lack of love for the source of all things. But because of that love, I know those are just social constructs that people keep paying homage to, but aren't really doing that much for society. Not in terms of educating people, right? One thing they do now down south, they didn't believe in welfare. They didn't believe in supporting poor families of any color if they had to pay a tax. Their solution to everything was go to your church. And I'm serious. I was told for every different kind of thing, just go to your church. I know, and it used to be. I always felt uplifted until I understood what they were saying. And it's always us against them. And at least I didn't grow up with a bunch of Christian stuff where it said, you're a sinner, you're a born sinner. You're born of Eve, therefore you are a sinner when you're born, and you got to spend the rest of your life atoning for somebody else's screw up. Does that sound like a just and kind and loving God to you? I find my church has always been nature. Whether it's a beach, the woods, the garden, when I'm with living things, hanging out with my dogs and cats, you are connected, when you're feeling that love and affection and appreciation of your world. And when you're like that, you're connected and everything flows from there. You don't need to have somebody else uplift you because you're part of all that does the uplifting. Oh, my dad was a Bible salesman. And then when he wanted to become a publisher, that's what he knew most about. So he endeavored to bring more of that into the world, only as a business, with him making a profit so he could support the family. Every kind of thing that he could get his hands on, I had a copy of in my living room. All the major religions have their own book, every scripture. It was like all of it was right there. Even the Jesus stuff. Even though we were definitely not a Christian household and we weren't Islamic, we had information on all the major religions. And we were encouraged to read about them, not to change our minds about our religion or to, change our religions, but to understand where they all come from, how they evolved, when they evolved, the fact that Earth was not created with the religions, and ideas about how the universe came to be go back to the ancient Greeks, predating every religion we know, except goddess and god worship, like, the Roman pantheons, Diana, Venus, Zeus, Jupiter. You're never more uplifted than when you are at peace in your garden, sweetie. When God speaks to you directly. I have to say that I was 15 when I realized the hypocrisy, most of it, but I didn't get the woman thing because of my family of all females, pretty much. Women ran the place, right? Women were trustworthy. Women were the backbone to every part of the family, not just giving birth, but all the medical care, all the raising of children, the cleaning of the houses, the shopping and cooking, the religious rituals fell to the women. The men had it easy when it came to that. They just had to go to temple and sit with the men and sit in prayer and then go home. But the women had to run all that stuff at home. She's the one that taught the prayers to the kids till they ended up, in their little yeshivas, schools. No, Maui. Look, back then you were a young person looking for spirit, looking for interest, just like every other young person. You couldn't have known then what you know now, you know? I I ended up attending one of those prosperity gospel church workshops that went on for 2 months, and it cost money to do that. I did not pay. That's why I ended up there. It was because a friend of mine who was easily freaked out by life, he was sucked into it. And of course, when they suck you in, they want you to work real hard sucking in other people. So although they don't care how the money comes as long as you bring more people paying. So this guy paid for me because he was so inspired by the class by himself. So I went. I quit the day of graduation because it was like, I can't take any more of this shit. There is some good stuff about what Norman Vincent Peale was teaching, but people took it to an extreme and interpreted it as If you're doing well financially, that means you're a good person. And that's not true. And we see that all the time now, proof of people with a lot of money not being good people. So when I was there, they wanted people to speak in tongues and, they said on graduation day, everybody's going to stand up in one and speak in tongues to show that they have been filled with the Spirit. It is your life experience that teaches you how to read the room. Until then, you're just like everybody else, trying to figure things out. And you can only do what you're faced with at the moment. A lot of what our learning is retrospect, going through the experience and then going, oh, well, I'll never do that again. Or I'll never go out with somebody like that again. Okay, you got to go. You got to do it to realize that's your contrast. If it doesn't suck, you're not inspired to want better. If everything just goes la-di-da-di, la-di-da-di-da throughout your entire life and there's no contrast, there's also no growth. There's no wonderful upward shift. It's like one of my very, very, very rich people, friends / clients, or client became friends. One of the saddest things about him, that throughout his entire life, he never felt overwhelming anything. He never felt overwhelming love for anybody. He never felt overwhelming grief over the loss of somebody. He didn't feel. He thought he felt, but his feelings were very thin. He went through his entire life with a wall between him and life, his feelings. Now, I know how that happened, but the problem is that because he was unwittingly emotionally isolated, he couldn't read the room either. He could not read the room except when it came to business, something that had nothing to do with emotion so much as understanding the dynamics of the people he was working with. And in that he was successful, but in love, no. And you think I figured out what a good man is without first having gone through a few lousy ones? Bad judgment? Oh, it's the only way we learn. You're not born with those experiences already, in your sack of experiences. I mean, now I can listen to the questions of somebody that wants to go out with me, and I'm like, I know what's in store for me if I decide to go out with you. I don't need it, thank you. Of course, you can't say that to them, but you know where to back away. It's like, I recognize those as red flags now, but nothing is a red flag until you have experienced something that sucks and goes, oh, no, I wish I'd known about that before, but you couldn't because you gotta go through it. Some things people can't tell you. When I was a teenager, I was very adamant about that. It's like, you know what? You don't have to learn everything firsthand. You can listen to what other people say, but when it comes to figuring people out, I read lots of books. I dealt with a lot of different people and still ended up marrying a narcissist. I did not know enough about what a narcissist was because I was kind of blinded by them. So yeah, the thing was, this is how life works. Before Glenn came into my life, I made a list. I told you that. because I'd already been married, and I was happily married to Tommy. It wasn't like we were, I mean, of course we ended up having fights in the end, especially, but it wasn't horrible. It was like normal kinds of things that happen with adults who realize that they want to go in different directions, but they're married and now they need to deal with that reality. So that was more our situation. So we broke up very amicably, and occasionally we still do send us a message through Facebook. And we divorced in the 90s or in the 80s, late 80s. Anyway, I was divorced, of course, before I met Glenn. But I liked a lot about Tommy. But what I found the saddest thing about Tommy and I were when we first got together, the hope was that we were going to have a printing business doing original art, and I was going to be one of the artists. And I was so psyched about that. But then shortly after we got married, he took a printing management job, which paid very well, of course. But it meant we were not starting our own business, and I had to go out and look for a job in good, I'm forgetting what I was doing at first, but I did not want a second husband that would put that second. I wanted to be able to work with my husband. I wanted to do art with my husband. Um, because my partner is the number one person in my life. I wanted to do things with him. So with Glenn, I did get that. Our first few years together, we did painted rocks and eggs, and we made money, enough to keep us going, not enough to put us ahead, but we kept breaking even and kept going, and then we left California. But the thing was that when I was making that list about what I wanted, like a man who wasn't so ambitious as Tommy had been, worried about stock and all that stuff. I was more the live for the day kind of a person at that time, and most of the time anyway. Um, but when I was putting down what I don't want, like I don't want an alcoholic, I don't want a drug addict. Those are kind of high up in the priority list. I did not want those problems that I'd already experienced somewhere else in my life. It never occurred to me about depression because my family did not suffer from depression. Nobody in my family. I mean, yes, circumstantial depression, yes, but then after that, we recovered from that and kept going. I did not expect, I didn't know it existed that you could be depressed all the time your entire life. So I got what I asked for. Everything on my list was fulfilled. But the joke of the universe was that it gave me things I had never experienced and didn't know enough about to put them on my list as a wanted or not wanted. So did I get my wish? I did. Did I also get the last thing I needed on my list? That too. But I would not know what a narcissist was, their behavior. I wouldn't understand that if I hadn't been through all of that shit with him, which makes it easy to go, that ain't happening again. So experience, best teacher. And another thing about being young, we're desperate to be loved and liked. We want acceptance. Everybody does. It is abnormal not to want to be accepted by somebody, your family, your friends. You want friends. So a lot of times, we go along with stuff because we want approval, or we offer information about ourselves that really shouldn't be shared, but because we want approval, we want acceptance. And in that wanting of acceptance is when we make our worst mistakes. We try to be honest and vulnerable, and we're not playing any games. What you see is what you get. Then somebody stomps all over your heart, and you go, well, I guess I'm not going to be so honest anymore. But you can't read the room until you've had practice reading the rooms. Lots of different rooms. That's how you learn. Now, one cool thing is you can learn some stuff from all places, movies. I learned about a few things that I can't remember off the top of my head at the moment, but I remember going, I saw this in a movie. And then I started really looking differently. It's like, well, son of a gun, that was teaching me something in that movie. That's perfect, Doc. That's perfect. Same here. Same here. I don't need fake friendships. I don't need fake family even. When I say fake family, I mean I have tried to love people in my family and my step families, and all that, but it reaches a point where if you're not getting any back, you can't be a one-sided love affair. So I think while some people are wonderful on their own, it's just not going to develop into a close relationship with me at this point in my life. Also, I'm very isolated. I mean, literally from my family. My nearest relative is a half an hour away, and he's a young man just starting his life as a married man. The last thing he needs is some old lady hanging around, Their their interests are different for the most part. I've already lived a lot of stuff that they have yet to experience, and in some cases hope they never do. But their adventure is their adventure, and I don't want to reel them in out of some kind of familial guilt, But I'm your auntie, you should take care of me. They get enough of that from their mother. Your mother, I nursed you. I gave you birth. You should take care of me the rest of your life because of that. It's like, You know what? I still believe that before you have a pregnancy, you should have a psychiatric examination. You should find out if you are ready to be a mother or a father, because those are awesome responsibilities. And I want to see kids grow up healthy and happy. And if they're born to people who really don't give a shit about them, that's not a good thing. And it's got nothing to do with poverty or wealth, because I've met wealthy people. I would not want to have to spend an evening with you. You are like the most shallow, boring person I've ever been around. Oh, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh that too. Hey, I went and gathered a bunch of people together in good faith to help them protect themselves from illegal bullshit being getting ready to be dropped on us here, and to give them a heads up on what's real and what isn't, so they know a lie when they hear it. And that's the best I can do. I can't make them make phone calls to help themselves. I can't make them attend a meeting. I can't make them ask questions. You can't make anybody do anything. And if your happiness depends on them doing what you want, you're always going to be disappointed, because it's not up to anyone else to make us happy. Now, I learned that a very long time ago, and I did not expect my husbands, either one of them, to make me happy. I was happier being around them for most of the time. That didn't mean that I couldn't be happy on my own. You have to be happy on your own first before you can be happy with another person. So when I see a cause that moves me or in need, I will respond. I will try to help people, because that is my nature. But if they actually follow through or not, is not my responsibility. And I can't take it personally if they don't agree with me, or if they ignore my warnings or anything else. I'll know that I did what I could do. I let them know. Now it's up to them. I can only follow up from me. when I make a phone call to say, hey, this is going on to like a government agency, it will be in my name and nobody else's. I will be taking responsibility for that. So same thing with everybody else. It's up to them. What I'm enjoying though with a couple of people is I straight up told them some things they needed to know. In one case about their health. And at first it was like they just completely ignored it. Ran into them a few weeks later. It's like they're still in bad shape. And it's like, did you stop taking that medicine? No, I forgot what you said. It's like, but then somebody else chimed up and said, I know, I saw that. That is true. But just because I said it before other people, I'm not looking for credit. It's like I'm trying to help somebody not be sick or not kill themselves with over-the-counter medicines. Yeah, that's why you can't let it drive you crazy, sweetie. You can't. You know in your heart that you want to help people, and you do the best you can that you're capable of in the moment. You're learning how to set boundaries so you don't get overextended and exhausted by other people. But don't let it drive you nuts. Yesterday, I gathered everybody together and I talked for about 40 minutes. And all I want to do is convey in a very orderly manner, this is what they're trying to do. This is the fact. This is the norm. This is who we have to contact if they try to do this thing. And I said, according to my sources, it's recommended that we act on this immediately and that we do not waste a single day, which is an interesting thing to keep coming up when you're asking for AI advice. Act now. And this one woman attended and she almost seemed opposed. Well, actually, she came out and said, we're having a meeting on Wednesday, and the manager said she'll answer all our questions on that. I said, well, first of all, it might be too late by then. We need to be ready, like by Monday, for a commitment from this company, whether they're going to do this or not, because our lives are endangered by it, and we need to know. And if they say no, then the calls start Monday, immediately, before that we have a general meeting. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. You tell them something, they ignore you anyway. You tell them again, they ignore you again, and you're the one that pays the price. That's why you can't depend on people for certain things. If you see someone continuing to do the wrong thing after you try to correct them, whether they're actually hearing you or just hearing what's going on in their own head, that is a good question. You say something, are they listening? Now, we can do something now, and I'm picking this up from AI. How do we know we're talking to AI? When we ask a question, when it answers it, it starts by rephrasing the very question we asked to make sure it is got it right, right? So it knows what it's going after. So you know it's AI because it always verifies the question. And that's how you can catch if it didn't understand what you asked of it, and you can correct that, which I've done, like when I was working with it to do research for Nomaris. I would have to say, no, not Solaris, Nomaris, you know. You can do that with people. You can say, okay, matter of fact, Dr. Joe Dispenza does this at his meetings, at his conferences. He tells you something, and then he says, okay, turn to your neighbor and tell them what you just learned. And he makes you repeat it immediately so that people can correct it immediately if you got it wrong. So people do not go away with misunderstandings, but he makes them repeat it to each other, not to him because he's on stage. I watched some of his work, and it's like, this is very effective way to teach. Very effective. Oh yeah, yep. The sad thing about it, Maui, is they're not going to get it until they suffer personally. So I'm telling people with sanity, stand back and hang on to something, because you know when the tidal wave hits, it's not selective. No, here's the same person who was objecting to me bringing this right up on Monday instead of waiting for Wednesday. I said, I'm waiting for permission to give a class in growing food on your windowsill. And she said, well, we just got $40 for vegetables over the summer. I said, I'm not worried about summer. Winter is coming, and we're going to have food shortages this winter. But she's like, but she's not well physically. Also, she's got the weirdest diet I've ever seen, where she eats almost nothing. And she's got like a sensor implanted in her that her body salts change so rapidly and extremely, it alerts a first aid team to tell her, like, hey, did you just eat something with too much salt? It's like, I don't want anything like that. But so she's like super reserved with her food, but I'm not going to say she's necessarily she's not like obese or anything, but she's definitely not had the healthiest diet over her lifetime. So people who don't want to see reality, like, why would I want to teach people how to grow food on their windowsill? Winter is coming. Just because it's hot outside does not mean that there's going to be anything that you can use come winter. And that's the problem too. Say the cult of Fox News people, they're not letting people know that they need to be on high alert for things. They're not telling them to plant a garden this summer. And they're not telling them to hold on to this or that, save this up. They're not telling them the truth. So these people who are Fox followers are going to be unprepared. Because while the actual economy is saying we're headed toward a freaking depression if we don't pull our heads out of our butts, they're not going to believe it until they're hit by it. They're like pretending, no, everything's fine. We actually have more jobs and interest is actually dropping instead of going up. It's not fooling the public anymore, but some parts of the public want to be fooled, and those are your neighbors. We have a few of those here. I know what you're up against. I said there's one guy who doesn't dare even meet my eyes anymore. And I'm always polite. Well, needing therapy is actually a sign of better sanity than those people who think they don't need it. We go to therapy for ways to cope with this world being so full of contradictions and things we can't control. And we have to learn how to react in a way that doesn't harm ourselves. Therapy is a wonderful thing. I've had years of it. I thank my therapists over the years, because without them, I don't even know if I'd be alive right now if it wasn't for therapy. Seriously. I think, although I am basically a very optimistic person, like you know, I've gone through periods where things were really bad and really scary. And that was before I felt capable of standing on my own 2 feet, because I was very young. But it doesn't matter what other people do. When you separate yourself from them and realize that everything you're feeling about them is your reaction to them, it's not them. And we can keep things going in our heads way longer than they're really wanting to stay full of energy. You can let it go and practice the letting it go. When they come to mind, you'd say, I caught you. You're trying to make me think about that shitty thing in the past. Nope, I'm not getting into that. I know your game. You're just my brain. And I am the ruler of my brain and not the other way around. So then you say, I'm going to think about something I like. I'm going to think of a solution. I'm not going to think of what's bothering me. I'm going to think of, if it could be the way I wanted, what would that be? That is deliberate, the deliberate changing of your thoughts. And that's what gives you power over the past. I don't let anybody drive me anywhere unless it's to the store. Nobody can drive me crazy without my permission. Nobody can put me down without my agreement. I let it happen. And if I let it happen, it's nobody else's fault. I can't blame other people. It's me. I know I'm a human, at least for the moment. I know I'm going to make mistakes. But I've got a friend now who's terrified of making a mistake. So much so that she's depriving herself of some fun because she's afraid of things not going her way, not coming out the way she wants. And it's like, for goodness sakes, just let that go. You're inhibiting yourself having a wonderful time to create something new. Instead, you're just worried about making mistakes. You never get anything done if all you're worried about is your mistakes. I don't think there's been a week lately that I've gotten out of the creative club without saying at least once, don't be afraid to suck when you try something new. People getting it right the first time, that's beginner's luck. That is luck. Do it again, develop some skill, but have fun instead of putting all this pressure on yourself to be perfect. It's just, people are so self-defeating. And I feel bad because she's a lovely person, a truly lovely person. And I hate for her to have any fears about stretching artistically. So Maui, I do in real life what I do on, have been doing on these shows all these years. I try to encourage wherever I'm at, but more and more I'm able to recognize faster those people, oh, I'm never going to be able to help. They're not mine to help. And they don't need me, because if I'm not going to be their teacher in something, and they need a teacher in something, that teacher will appear when they're ready. And it'll be something that they can do with. They can deal with all that. It's not up to me to try and rescue everybody. And we know after dealing with MAGA, some people don't want to know any better. They want to remain stupid. It's the only way they can justify their past votes or behaviors. So, no, I'm not going to be likely friends with any people like that. But they can't suck me into their stupidity, so I'm safe. Because I don't have to socialize with them. I don't have to feed them or care for them. So I'm good. when you want to help somebody, help people who appreciate it. Like, I know Gloria really does appreciate getting things in the mail. And I send her things because I worked at a nursing home. I know how lonely it is. And she doesn't have a bunch of, she's 99. She's outlived all of her family except one daughter and one niece. That's it. She's outlived all of her siblings, her husbands, her children, except for the one. So I'm glad I can send something of light. Well, that's pretty dumb. Of course, black people are going to vote Democrat. It's the only smart thing for a black person. Republicans are trying to get the vote away from black people. That alone should tip you off. But they're not good people. They don't want blacks voting. They don't want them being represented in Congress or the Senate. That's why they want to gerrymander everything. Yeah, stupid. And a socialist Democrat is bringing great prosperity to New York City, so isn't she the dolt? Come on. She needs to be, yeah, she needs some information, but you're not going to be able to teach her anything, honey. She's brainwashed. She can see all the good around her and still can't get it through her head because she wants to be right. And her being right is way more important to her than reality. It's like people, white people, well, the white haters, were all about getting rid of DEI because it's obviously helping people of color. DEI was about helping white women, okay? That's what it was really about, getting white women into the workplace because, let's face it, a lot of places, especially down south, they did not want women getting those jobs. Especially when it turned out that a lot of those women were damn smarter than they were. Yeah, she does not know shit if she doesn't understand that. She doesn't know her own history. Well, she can't be black. Is she black? No. She must be a white woman if she doesn't get it. I never met a black person who didn't understand what was going on. Well, I guess there are a few of them that have been brainwashed by maggots, but they got to be especially dumb, like Herschel Walker. I mean, like, how many brain injuries did he have? You guy's a moron. Now, there are some wonderful Black History channels right here on YouTube. I'd start sending her, every time she comes up with something that's stupid, send her back a little tidbit of history. Does she even know why Juneteenth is a holiday? She's Portuguese. They really have nerve being prejudiced. Slavery was given a big up in Portugal many years ago when the King of Portugal wanted justification for going and stealing people from the Slavic countries and enslaving them. Slaves. So we had somebody write a book basically saying people of darker skin were less intelligent. Even though Portuguese are pretty swarthy themselves. Charlie is Portuguese. He's not like that. He's younger and way smarter than your friend from New York. But that's not a real friend. Like, why are you black people doing this? Huh? Don't expect her to look something up. She's brainwashed by Fox. The only thing that's going to happen is you send her something and she actually watches and she might learn something. But ignorance. People who are really ignorant don't want to learn. They want to stay ignorant. That's where their comfort zone is. But some people genuinely are informed. Like at the table yesterday, I had to explain to a couple of white people what the reason for Juneteenth. And they were like, I had no idea. So, yep. Yeah, I know. And she moved to New York, but she's had a silver spoon in her mouth, hasn't she? Didn't she marry Will? She's comfortable on Fox News. Share some of her racism. How many black people is she friendly with? Of course they are, because they've been stealing it for years. That's why they're so desperate to keep this crazy man in power, because while he's in, throwing back regulations, making it okay for them to steal without getting fined for it, pardoning criminals who were supposed to pay back their constituents and pay back patients and all that, and forgave them the multiple millions that they owed in stolen money. No, Trump forgave them, set them free of jail, and the responsibility to repay Medicare, Medicaid, and a bunch of other things. Hi there, darling. How's Gary today? I am making pre-felts that are going to be cut up to make little flowers, small flowers that I can put on little, like a boutonniere button kind of a thing. Well, something is shifting in Hawaii somewhere, because they're getting rid of Citizens United, which is the best thing they can do if they want a real political discourse and without the elections being purchased by the wealthy. We have to eliminate the thieves. They control the dialogue. Yeah, that's an especially stupid woman. That's an especially stupid woman. Let her go, let her go. She's not good for your head. Even though she was considerate and sent you a gift. Is she trying to just stay your friend until you change your beliefs to match hers? In the most basic way, yes, she was sent from God, the same way all of us are. That he is godlike, not at all. If he's godlike, I want nothing to do with that God, because he's scum. He's got zero redeeming qualities. He's a pedophile. He's a thief. So if that's what God sent, she can keep it. Sent from God. Yeah, he's Jesus, all right. Cannot quote one single thing from Scripture, new or old. All he's got is some of the wrath of God stuff that somebody put in front of him to read from old Scripture, not even Christianity, which is what he was claiming to be. It's like, you just quoted the Torah. and not the friendliest part. But who are you kidding? I know, and that's dangerous and stupid. It was nice that it arrived safely, but that could have set you up for an arrest. So I recommend that you don't let her do that again. You tell her not to do it again. Thank you, but no. That's endangering you. Rely on your powers of attraction to get what you need from the right people in the right ways to protect yourself. Like that rich dude that took me out to dinner, but turned out to be a crazy man. Like, you know what? I'm not that desperate to date. And the flowers were very thoughtful, but you're nuts. And I don't want to be around you. Some people are just too easily bought. Not you. Same. Now, the nice thing about felting these really thin layers, they felt fast. Now, I am mentally getting psyched up to do the 100-year-old scarf thing. I might make some pre-felts to put into the pattern. So that's what this is, pre-felting. There's these thin layers that I'm going to cut and include in other items that are felted. Although these are going to be flowers and they won't be felted into anything. But just like I did the green leaves and felted them into a periwinkle vase, it came out so nice, and you couldn't tell that it wasn't done like needle felting. It just worked out beautifully. Okay, let's get rid of some of this excess. Soak it up. Give me this other damn blend. Oh, come on. I noticed that when we get afraid of not having something, it takes longer for things to arrive. When you just trust the universe to cover your ass, it works. It just flows. And we don't need to rely on the randomness of weird people. If a person doesn't want to, they can't hear you, all right? Anybody that's that into Fox does not hear you. They don't know who you are. They don't get you. They have an image of you set in their brain, and that's it. You can't always tell what it is. Now, is she still married, or did she end up on her own? Gary, you're home, right? Catch us up, Gary. How are you feeling? And when are you going to go visit your mom? Or are you already down there? All right, it's time for the bamboo treatment. Yeah. Felt it fast and beautifully. And all this has to go into the shower to be washed. Oh, I'm sorry about that. It's just a small one, but it's dry. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sure you wouldn't have asked. Mail being a risky thing. Gary must have been going through. It's 4:02. Going through at 4:02. Trying to decide what I want for dinner. I sprouted some mung beans. I could make a soup. Fresh veg soup, ramen and all that. So the sprouter that I'm using is hilarious because when I first measured, like I had a tablespoon of dried garbanzos, dried chickpeas, right? I started hydrating. I'm gonna put 1 tablespoon into this little spot. Well, now I've had to get rid of a whole bunch of them because they swelled up so much. Their roots are huge. And I don't even know if they're going to go through like they should. So I might have to get a different kind of a grid for those larger beans. But what I'm trying to get at the chickpeas of this batch is the greens, which I need. I'll have to order that fertilizer. Just reminded myself. But the mung beans, same thing. You know, they swell up and they start popping their little jackets. But some of them finally they're doing the roots down like they're supposed to and going in the water so I can make them grow up. But they got so big inside, a whole bunch of them were like piled up today. So it's like I'm gonna have to start pulling these things out so they all fit in that little space. And what hasn't popped yet or is just starting to pop are the beets. The beets are very slow germinators when it comes to sprouts. In fact, I think the arugula was too. No, the beets are worse. They have a harder little shell. But their roots are small enough to go through the holes into the water. So we're just going to keep going. Yeah, that'll never happen because she just needs you to dump her emotional crap on. You got to find an interruption there. Yeah, don't allow it. Stop taking her calls, man. She's just using you. Let her. If you stop taking her calls, she'll stop calling you. with just that. It's like, I'm sorry, I really can't talk right now. Good luck. The other day, we were trying to get away from one woman who was launching into a very long story about her past and death of her mother and funeral and all that. It's not like we're not sympathetic to, the emotional changes we go through with the loss of a family member, even if you hate their guts. But we were trying to get away, and she kept going on and adding more. It's like, and she said something. I said, then stop talking about it. And she said, I'm really over my past, and I just then stop talking about it. If you're really over it, it's over. You don't talk about it anymore. You've moved on. This person needs to move on from using you as a dumping grounds. Last thing you need is somebody else's toxic crap in your head. Good. Good. Nobody can defend your peace except for you. And that is a hard lesson that we all have to learn on our own. Nobody can tell you, or they can tell you all they want, but until you are faced with a situation like this where you have finally said, enough already. Does this woman do anything but bitch? And I remember you telling me about her before. Like, next time I'll let you talk and I'll listen to you. Like, what makes you think there's going to be a next time? I don't have an emotional need to dump my garbage on you. Is she local? And you wonder, where do people get the nerve to do that? Because we let them in. They can only go as far as you let them. And people forget that because we feel obligated socially sometimes and we let things go on. Yeah, why should you care about? These are people who are giving you arbitrary stuff. When they're talking to you, is it about stuff that affects you personally? Does it change your life? Are there things you have to know for your happiness? Why even? I don't attempt to care for anyone. If I don't have a genuine feeling of caring, they're not mine to care for. We can be kind, but if you spend too much energy trying to be nice, you're not helping yourself and you're really not helping them. Being nice is when you see someone stranded in their wheelchair because their wheel is stuck and you go out and you rescue them. That's kindness. That's a normal, good human movement. But if you've then found yourself watching for this person constantly, you've gone over the edge with that. It's not your job to babysit somebody else. Unless you have an emotional attachment to them. You feel something special, then absolutely. If you're supposed to be part of that person's life, you will feel it. It's not a burden. It's not something to complain about. It's like, yeah, I want to be there for that person. It's just not the same. All right. I can feel the difference in the walls here. I pulled some of it up in using the bamboo. We did get a little bit of texture here, if that's all right. All right, we've got 3 pre-felted sheets that just need to be washed and stabilized with some vinegar. And tomorrow, we're going to do a little experiment. We'll see if I can make a cute little rosebud with the curling and all that. So we'll find out tomorrow. Yeah, well, how do you know her? I mean, like, why does she just pick up the phone and call you out of the blue, dumps everything on you, and then disappears next time? And it never happens. It's never your turn to talk. It's always her bitching. Next time, I'll be there for you. Next time. Don't let there be a next time. But see, this is a good example. These are things that you've invited in for whatever reason, not on purpose, but over the years. You have had certain vibrations which have been open to this kind of thing. Now that they're back in your face, it's your chance to go, I learned from that. I'm done with that. And you can let it go. It's like, oh yeah, been there, done that. Don't need it again. But if you keep picking up the phone, that's your fault. You know what you're going to get. She's already taught you what you get with her. Oh, don't worry. Next time, I'll let you talk. It's like, no, if you call me, I'm going to talk. It's my time now. My time. Okay, we have the leftover batch here, but that's not really leftover there. Oh yeah, my cloud. That's a pre-felted cloud. So cute. Leave that there. Yeah. What did you get out of that church? Bunch of users. Oh, just because you did that once, well, we just assumed you'll always do it. People do a lot with their assumptions. I've been through stuff like that too, Mary. So that's how I've learned to be very definitive when I'm helping other people. So I first make sure they really want the help, because why waste my energy? And clear on how much my help is going to go. Like, I will help you with this project, but that's it, just this project. I have my own projects. Like, we've got this garden club, right? We've got a sign sheet, and everybody's got a plot that, and we took it on that we each have our own little areas that we have to take care of. We got help planting stuff, and none of us can move our backs that much. And then we're in charge of watering. And few people jumped to be part of it. But now, as the weeks are starting to add up, it's like, well, who's watering what? And 3 of us were out there watering the front plot, which is ours. And I said, look, we've watered those other people's plots before, but I don't have the energy. I cannot keep up with that. And it's like, yeah, if they want to let things die, I'd like to prevent that, but we don't have a hose. We have to fill up gallon jugs in the kitchen, carry them through the community room, and bring them out to the front. One person is with a walking cane, recovering from knee surgery. The other one is fully on in a wheelchair, and she can't walk at all. So we're out there trying to make sure things are watered, and getting excited because we finally see some gladiolas coming up above the ground. But I see 2 other plots. It's like, you know what? We've watered these, but they need water. They're not on the verge of death, but they need water, and I don't have any more in me. I can't do it. I can't take responsibility for their lack of watering. So what matters now? What matters to you? I know. Exactly. That's because that church became more about being a church than being connected with the values the church is supposed to represent. I have to say that leaving all that behind gave me a huge sense of relief in my spirit. That's how I knew I was making the right decisions when I walked out of things like that. It's like, no, they're not supporting spirit. They're vexing to the spirit. They're using spirit as an excuse for the stuff that they're pulling, but they're not connected to spirit. I mean, everybody's literally, physically, you can't escape spirit or whatever you want to call it. You're connected. You can't fall out of grace the way the teachings would suggest. But that's not what they teach. So people, they feel like if you don't keep you in fear for your invisible soul, then you will stray and stop tithing their church. They don't want you to leave. They need your money. And if it's not direct money, they need what you can add to their plans. Now, as you know, my interest in spirit led me to lots of different churches to to feel spirit. The best one I was ever in was in New London, Connecticut. It was just a meeting room with folding chairs. Yes, it's the best thing you can do. But I loved that church because it was a plain room with regular people. And there was a bunch of rejoicing in the Lord. There was singing, there was clapping, there was a lot of hallelujahs and amens. That church, that was spirit. That church felt good. I'm glad that social networks are being more carefully watched. Now, I'm sure lots of kids under 16 are still going to be accessing what they shouldn't, but at least it's a start. Get those kids off social media. It's just not helping them. They're getting absorbed by it. And what really concerns me is all these young people, they're growing up in their own world, of course. Every generation has to do that, but it is distressing to see how much information and knowledge from past generations is being ignored or discarded. They have no freaking clue what people went through before them, because every generation thinks it's the only generation. And that's not a really horrible thing, but it is not going to help young people cope with what's coming. In fact, if they weren't paying attention or alive 30 years earlier, they have no way of even realizing what's coming because it's completely disconnected from their current reality. Oh, let's throw this pink in. What the heck? I love using up all the little scraps of color. Always unpredictable. You never know what I'm going to be left with at the end of a week. I don't know. Let's do something interesting on this. It's going to be bookmarkers. How would you like the green? Here we go. We have more than we need. Because when this wrinkles up, it really does look cool. Let's go ahead. Stay down. We got all kinds of stuff here. I like this. So we've got the yellows and the greens and a whole mess of this. This is the silk. And this is the bamboo. This looks gorgeous. I wish I had some of this stuff in pink would be nice, but I do have some in blue. And I have it right here. We need to invest in some of this. Now, I've been reserving most of the aquamarine color for the 100-year-old scarf. We're going to be using quite a bit of things there. All right, now the thing about discos, as you already know if you've been watching, it does not felt on its own. So once I start watering this down, I can only rub it on one side until this stuff has become part of it. So until then, it's very fragile and will move all over the place. So we're going to be careful not to let that happen. Okay, we got rid of, look at that. A little poof down here. Maybe we will, because it's hard to keep the silk down unless there is something to hold it down. No, I don't see red there. Okay. Some room. Keep this dry. And we're going to do, this is the last one for today. So I can address dinner. Now, one of the things I did not address, I've got some frozen fillets of fish. They're so thin, I can't remember if it was tilapia or flounder that I put up. And they're in the freezer, and I think I've got like 3 slabs. I'm gonna have to, I tried to make it so I could take out 1 slab at a time with plastic between, but that's no guarantee it's gonna work. But just thinking about it makes me hungry. I am loving looking up weird recipes using common ingredients, like what you can do with black beans, a can of black beans. It's pretty impressive what you can do with beans. Turning them into dips, all kinds of stuff. Now, one of my favorite things is actually refried beans with jalapenos. When I moved to California, that's when I discovered Mexican food and refried beans. And I fell in love. Oh my God, it's so tasty and so creamy. And it's really nothing hard to make. But the more I learn about what you can do with the beans, the cooler it is. It's like a can of red beans and a can of chickpeas. You can make a bread, a heavy, not a heavy bread, but a heavy protein-rich bread. And it doesn't take a bunch of flour or anything else like normal, your average bread, you know? Like, these are just brilliant ideas to make sure you're well fed. Don't cost a lot of money. Like for me, I haven't had to buy a can of black beans in 3 years. Because I usually get 1 to 3 cans every month as a gift. So learning what to do with black beans is a really good thing. You know, I made the black bean brownies and served them. And I shouldn't have told anybody about the black beans, because if they knew it had beans in it, they were afraid to try it. But those who just had some were like, this is delicious. Those are really fudgy brownies. They couldn't tell anything about beans because there's no bean taste to it. It's all chocolate and cocoa. The black beans are really a very flexible kind of a legume. All right, we're going to flip that over. There we go. The real work has to come from the back side because you don't want to disrupt all of the fibers. And when it's fully felted, these fibers should be going down through the viscose and then back up. Now, pressure is one of the ways that the spitball bonds. But doing little projects like this does not require a bunch of heavy pressure, just slight repeated pressure. I should check the weather for Tuesday. Let's see. I might get to that farm on Tuesday. Now the difference is huge price-wise. Going to the farm and getting fibers. This plain undyed stuff that I like to work with as my foundations, might be able to get as low as $2 an ounce. And the more you buy, the lower the price is. Right now, to buy it from another farm out of state, the price per ounce starts at $3.50. So, and by going there, I won't have shipping. I can put the shipping money toward the wool instead. So yeah, I'm very excited about getting out there. Oh, I'm too fast there. Okay. This one has a lot of soap still on it. I don't necessarily want that, but I need the bigger space here. Look at the back with all the fibers. Doc, have you ever seen the movie Lethal Weapon? Mel Gibson. Oh, who was that co-starred with him? It's been, I haven't seen it since it came out, but I do have Loaded Gun, which is a parody of those crazy shoot 'em up people movie things. Anyway, Loaded Weapon is very, very funny. It's got William Shatner in it. Well, I finally was able to show it to my son because it's very funny. He does this one thing. I wonder if YouTube has a clip of it. Oh my God. Let's find out. Is there a video clip of William Shatner's piranha move in Loaded Gun? Loaded Weapon, yeah. All right, I gotta send this to you. Here it is. This is one of the funniest things I've ever seen Shatner do. First time I saw it, I had something in my mouth, and that was a mistake. Okay, remind. I lost my reminder. Come back. Refill time. Okay. Don't be watching that with food in your mouth. This really should go on that. Is this the longer one? Yeah, I guess I have no choice. Oh, this is one. Okay. It's a 1 minute clip. Shatner plays a bad guy. A very bad guy. My shoulders are starting to feel it. No wonder, it's past 4:20. Oh, cool. Is that within walking distance? That's pretty close, isn't it, for you? We just have a once a month, the first Thursday of the month. Five blocks away. That's good exercise. Unless it's a lousy weather day. Can you go over any time, or is it like by invitation? You can go twice a month, or once a week. Yeah, this orange is just wool, just like this purple is just wool to help hold down the silk and the bamboo threads. This color green is not bad on its own. It doesn't go with anything I have. So I probably won't order any of it. Once a week, that's great. So you can get fresh stuff like fresh eggs. No eggs. What kinds of stuff? Just dry goods? Do they have anything fresh? Like fresh veg or anything? They're all so different. When I first started getting a food box, it was just all the dried canned stuff. But then last year they added a fresh food box, essentially what people were giving away. Usually some old apples, sweet potatoes, occasionally a pineapple, but the pineapple is always on the verge of rotting. Oh, we get nothing like that. No meats. Closest thing we ever get to meat is canned chili with no beans. It's like the really cheap kind of stuff you'd find on hot dogs in bad neighborhoods. Actually, bad neighborhoods usually have good food. In a neighborhood where nobody can taste. Yeah, that's good. I just saw another good recipe from the old days for tuna fish sandwiches about the tuna melt and how they really made it in the old days, made it last, made it cheap, made it good. A lot of old, what was I watching? Usually a channel I avoid because it's AI, but it was about Woolworth and the stuff that happened at their food counters and how they were at the edge of social change, or actually right on the front lines of social change. When 4 black students sat down at the counter a place that had a sign that only served white people. There's a piece of history. Till finally someone came out and said, "They're people, feed them." But it took a whole bunch of them to come in and make it clear they were not going to go away. And finally, I said, well, now canned beans, we only get either black beans or kidney beans. It's the only beans we've ever gotten. I can cook with them. I don't generally eat them. I really have a preference for the white beans, the big lima, big butter beans, and I also like the white navy beans. White navy beans are great for soup. Love them in soup. But now that it's summer, I'm really not up to making pots of bean soup. I will heat up a can of beans though and sit down and eat that as a meal. I do love beans. Now I do owe my love of butter beans to an Alabama man I dated years and years ago. He was into beans. Until then, I had never cooked a damn bean in my entire life. So he taught me how to do beans with, what's that? Pork fat, fat. And I definitely did not grow up with fat. But I did learn some stuff from him. And I really got into making beans a lot for a while because they were so delicious and really very easy once you get past the soaking part. All right, we're getting shrinkage. You can tell when the bamboo starts getting all curly like that, squiggly. That's what we're looking for. And the same thing happens with the silk. We're almost done. I'm not going to have you sit around while I'm washing and soaking in the kitchen sink, so I will be saying goodbye in just a few minutes here. I think we got it. All right. And I can put all this stuff in the bathtub to wash it off. Now let's run this through the bamboo to get all the excess moisture out of it. I got the short one down. One thing I don't like about these mats is the ridges they put in the thin stuff here. That's where the rolling pin is better. So when you buy beans or you get beans in the pantry, what kind do you pick up? Are they canned or the dried? I'm assuming dried, most likely. It's easier for shipping. But I don't know. I could use to put up some more tinned fish. We got some rather high-end tinned fish, flounder, smoked trout. Oh my goodness, the smoked trout was amazing. But the price almost doubled really fast. It's like, okay, we're not getting that anymore. This was an economical, healthy meal, and now it's, you put gourmet prices on it. Well, I guess that little excursion into tinned fish is over. All right, that is doing well. Giving our shrinkage. Feels like fabric now. I have black beans organic. Awesome. That's great. I think I saved a recipe today, black bean dip. It's like, oh, this sounds really good. And black bean soup, made with 2 cans of black beans. One you mash up, and the other you leave whole, so you've got soup base that's creamy. Oh, good. Good, yeah, that's it. It's like, it's a prolific bean in the first place. But it's a super high protein bean, so it's a really good meat substitute. And they're hardy enough to hold up if you want to make burgers out of them. There's lots of black bean burger recipes online. YouTube is such a wealth of information. That's why I'm still here. I mean, there's also misinformation, but more people were calling it out faster, so I think that helps. And when I see just copycats, I just always click not interested or don't recommend that channel. And that also has been eliminating some of the stupid things that are coming up. All right. We've got more fabric, wool fabric. All right, I am done for the day. Just have to wash it away with these. So we got a good amount of work done for an afternoon. This is all leftover stuff except for the fibers I added. For little pink flowers. For little purple flowers. And for all these color flowers. Today will be a good day. It will be. It's already been good. It's going to be better. Enjoy your excursion. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm hoping in the morning. I watered this morning outside, so I don't have to go out there first thing. So I said to you too, aloha. Aloha. Until tomorrow, darlings. Have a great rest of the day. For me, it's dinner time.